Wondering what life is really like on Canada's wild and crazy West Coast? This podcast is all about the people, the places, and Vancouver Island time. Together, we'll explore this island paradise, a combination of ocean, city, and country living. We'll meet the fabulous locals, such as the Fudge Fairy and the Chicken Lady, who have chosen Victoria and Vancouver Island as their home. And we'll learn what makes this place unique and special to those who live here. And now, your host of Vancouver Island Time, Jane Johnston.
Hi, my name is Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. We're talking today to Chris Burdge with
BWEST Interactive.
And Chris is going to be telling us about the area he lives, which is Crystal View, which is near a very popular elementary school, Crystal View Elementary, and it's in Langford. And you're on a hill which overlooks the city and downtown Victoria. How do you like it up there?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's great views and a nice area to live and close to all the amenities and fresh air and lots of places to hike and walk the dog and all kinds of good things.
How did you end up choosing that area?
Wow, that's a good question. We moved here 15 years ago, and when we came out, we actually got a realtor. We had called them ahead of time and we came out on vacation for a kind of reconnaissance mission the summer before we moved here, and we looked at, I'm trying to remember, probably 50 houses, I'm guessing, and the one we're in now was the last one we saw. And we didn't know anything about the areas of Victoria. We just had a price range. And so I think he showed us around a lot of different places. So we didn't know Langford from Oak Bay, from Gordon Heights or whatever.
Gordon Head. That's the whole purpose of Vancouver Island Time, actually, is to help people understand where it is, right?
True, yeah. So this house was it was beautiful. It was nice. We liked the layout. It was in the right price range. And I really wanted to move here, and it was the last one we saw. So after we saw it, we actually went to Thetis Lake, which was close by. We were sitting on the beach, and we were deciding, I think we had to leave the next day, and we were thinking, okay, do we put an offer on this place or not? My wife and I were sitting there at Thetis Lake looking out, and we thought, this is beautiful, yeah. And so there used to be a little concession stand there with a payphone, actually, and I went over to the payphone, and I put the money in, put the dime or quarter, I guess, whatever. Called the realtor and said, okay, we're going to put an offer on the house. And that was it.
There you go. Bob's your uncle. So do you like living there now?
Love it. Yeah.
And you have a recreation center nearby. It's developed a lot in the past 15 years. Like Langford went from, essentially nothing to big box stores and huge, one of the most active developments in BC, if not Canada, for new housing. How have you found it with all the changes?
Yeah, it's interesting because after we moved there, as I said, we didn't know the area at all, but then some people said, Langford, because I guess it had a reputation as the dog patch, as they say, but we moved there kind of after that had happened, so it was already fairly built up, but JDF Community Center was already there.
Which is now West Shore Community Center.
West Shore Community Center. Interesting to note, the one thing that I was concerned about, because I was a hockey player, I wanted my kids to play hockey, and I thought, I wonder if Victoria has much hockey. And when we moved to the place we're in now, I didn't know if there's any arenas or not. And so afterwards, I kind of looked around, and there was JDF and Bear Mountain, so there was already it was called Bear Mountain then. There was 2 arenas. They've since built West Hills, and then at one point there was a little Puckmasters, a little 3-on-3. So we had 4 arenas within 5 minutes of us, which was way more than what I had in Toronto, so all good on that front.
Is the level of competition as good as Toronto, though? They're pretty darn good in TO.
Yeah, no, there's way more hockey players, so the level of competition is higher in Toronto for sure. But there's really good hockey here, and so yeah, my kids have come up playing hockey all the way through initiation all the way up, and so that's just one of the many activities that there are on the West Shore and Victoria in general. And in addition to that, there's now the West Hills Community Center as well, and the Y and everything there. So there's all kinds of great things to do, both those kind of organized sports and then also just like natural get out and paddleboard or hike or run or surf, whatever. There's all kinds of great things to do.
One of the things that amazed me when I moved here was how long each of the seasons were. So, for instance, the soccer season runs all winter.
Yeah, well, that's the one sport we don't play, but I definitely know what you mean, or soccer, that is. I know what you mean about the seasons, because so the first year we moved here, I think, was one of the best winters. It didn't snow at all, and it was kind of warm, and, the flowers are coming up mid-January, the snowdrops are coming up, and so we were pretty amazed about that. And then, we were out golfing pretty much the whole year round. So, golf season. You can golf and ski the same day. And here we are, I don't know, what is it, November 22nd or something, and I was just up the top of Mount Finlayson yesterday. Sun was shining, it was in a T-shirt and shorts, and it was beautiful. And I hesitated to put it on Instagram because I know my friends back in Toronto are going to see it, and I think they're under 10 centimeters of snow and minus 10 degrees. So sorry about that out there, but you know where to find me. Come on out.
I'm pretty sure actually a lot of people that I know have decided to move here because of all the social media that I do. And I do it on purpose, right?
True, yeah. Yeah, I do that as well. And, it wasn't because of social media, but back around the time we moved here, 2 other sets of friends of ours with families moved from Toronto as well. All around, within a year, they all moved out here from Toronto. Yeah.
So how was the transition for your family moving here, like moving into a community where you don't know anybody? Do you have any tips for anybody moving?
Well, for the kids it was easy because they were so young they didn't really notice the difference. I think my wife had a little bit of a hard time with it at first because, and me to a certain degree, but we were obviously pretty ingrained in our community in Leaside in Toronto, and of course we knew all the people, and you have your routines and everything. But I just saw it as a big adventure. And I've moved many times in my life. I moved to Europe, and I moved to Japan, and I moved back here. But I guess in terms of tips, just get out and enjoy the place. I mean, go and see what there is to offer. If you cycle, if you do anything outdoors, you can join a cycling team, a hiking club, a paddleboard, golf, anything that you do. There's a club for it here, so you can join. Outdoor stuff for sure. If you want to give back to the community, there's all kinds of volunteer opportunities where you can meet up with people, or there's the Kiwanis Club, all those different charitable organizations. So no end of things to do and get involved with.
And I also find here, I don't know if you find this, I mean, you're kind of in the online industry, but don't you find that we're very socially media active here?
Very social media active, for sure, yeah. And that's built up over the years. It was interesting. The other thing I was thinking about when we moved out here, in Toronto, we're all about hustle, and, get on to the next thing. And I remember having to call out, because when we bought the house, I was calling to get services set up, hydro and phone and this and that. And I remember thinking to myself, whenever I called someone in Victoria to do something, they were so chatty, and they'd be like, I just wanted to get the thing done and get off the phone so I can go do what I need to do. And they were like, oh, how you doing? Oh, you're moving out here. Oh, that's great. It's very chatty. So people are pretty easy to get along with here, yeah.
So the whole reason for the Vancouver Island Time name is the fact that it's island time here. Do you find that things take a little longer?
Well, I guess they take a little longer, and I think, life moves at a bit of a slower pace, I guess. I don't want to make it sound like we're a bunch of old fuddy-duddies, but I do find that whenever I go to Vancouver from here, I get off the ferry and get into traffic. It's a totally different pace over there, the way they drive. So I guess for sure, people kind of take their time more here. You can only get so far, right? It's an island, but I like it that way. Yeah.
So do you do any water sports? I know you do water sports. Tell them what you do.
Well, I love doing paddleboarding, so there's lots of great places to paddleboard around Victoria, lakes, ocean. We go up to Tofino every summer, and we paddleboard and surf. And so Tofino is only 3.5 hours away. It's beautiful. Some of the best surfing in Canada, and even if you're there in the winter when the waves are big, it's the largest, what they call cold water surfing, because it is cold, so you need a wetsuit.
Which you can get at Wilson Diving.
Oh, there you go. Good plug. Yeah. And other water sports, well, I golf and hike. And
are you a good golfer?
I'm okay. Yeah.
Like, do you find the courses here challenging? We have the one designed by Jack Nicklaus up at Bear Mountain, but what about the other ones?
There's 2 courses at Bear Mountain. They're both tough, yeah. Colwood is close by. It's a little easier, but it's a very nice course. Olympic View, I play a lot at. My son was in the Golf Academy last year, and so we got out quite a bit, and that was fun. I like Cordova Bay, which is a little ways away over on the other side of the city, but Ocean View is just beautiful views in the courses here, and they're pretty easy to play. Yeah.
There's 2 over at Cordova Bay, right? There's the short one and then the one across the street.
Yeah, there's the executive par 3, yeah. I've only played that a couple of times. I like to play real golf.
I hit the ball too hard for the executive. It like goes way over.
Yeah, you don't want to put it in the parking lot or something.
So if you were to say to somebody, hey, here are 3 reasons why you should move to Victoria, what would you tell them?
Fresh air, green space, lots of outdoor stuff to do.
Kind of quality of life.
Yeah, it really is quality of life. Yeah, it's just a different pace, and I don't know. It's more about it's just quality of life. I mean, that's what when we moved out here, people start their business and they want to be kind of millionaires and stuff, and I just wanted to design a really nice kind of quality of life where I could do what I wanted to do, and then have fun and do a bit of work at the same time. Yeah, so.
One of the things I do find here is people kind of cobble their earnings together from different jobs. Like a lot of people hold more than one job. Do you find that?
I have found that, yeah, because it is a little bit more expensive to live here. I mean, some things are cheaper, but housing is much cheaper, of course, than Vancouver and Toronto. But gas is a bit more expensive, and salaries are actually a little bit lower than other cities as well. So sometimes you do need to have a side hustle, and I know a lot of people that have a side hustle, and it's part of the reason I have multiple sources of income. I have BWEST, so I had the social media camp, the other conference, which I sold a couple of months ago, and now I'm working on another idea. But similarly, I find lots of people, they do have different things that they do, and it's partly to supplement their income, and partly because you can do it in this day and age. There's no reason why you shouldn't have multiple sources of income.
Okay, great. Well, if you want to know more about the Crystal View area, you can contact me. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun. And if you want to know more about BWEST, how do they get in touch with you?
Website is the best way, bwest.ca, so BWEST.ca, or you can call me, 250-508-7761.
Okay, and take care. Have a great day, and welcome to the neighborhood. Bye.
Vancouver Island Time is brought to you by the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun, Victoria, where we bring local expertise and global presence to your property.
Hi, everybody. It's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. I'm here with Chris Burdge of
BWEST Communications, Inc.
And Chris lives in the Crystal View area, which is in Langford, but it's kind of on the Colwood-Langford border. And he moved here from Toronto. When did you move here?
15 years ago.
What prompted the move?
Quality of life. Open air, green spaces, lots of outdoor activities, hiking, surfing, golfing, skiing, more hiking. And work, a little bit of work, yeah. But mostly just quality of life. I didn't have a job, didn't know anybody, but knew that I'd wanted to live here. I'd come out here when I was 20 years old once on a quick vacation, and I remember saying to myself, one day I'm going to live here. And it took a long time, but I got back.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I came out when I was 16 to do an outward bound course in the central Okanagan, and I just remember thinking how impressive it was to be in the mountains and by the ocean.
Indeed, yeah, it's got that kind of pull on you. I'm sort of an outdoors person, so Toronto is nice as far as big cities go, but I wanted to live here, and I wanted my kids to grow up here. When we moved here, my daughter was 4, my son was 4 months, and so they don't know anything except kind of Victoria. So and they're enjoying all that it has to offer now, all the great outdoors and everything, and clean air. So I'm happy about that.
Where do you live in Toronto?
The Leaside area, which was a very nice area. That was kind of the hardest thing to leave, is because it was a very nice place in Toronto to live. and I only had maybe a 10-15 minute commute to work. I worked downtown, just went down the Bayview extension. Didn't have those horrific hour-long commutes that a lot of people have, although I did have clients in Oshawa and Mississauga, and so I did have huge commutes when I had to go visit them. But, Leaside is a beautiful area, and we like to visit it when we go back and see our neighbors.
I went to Leaside High for 1 year.
I heard that, yeah. Well, the kids probably would be going there now if we'd have stayed, yeah.
So how was the transition to Victoria?
It was, the two parts, really. It was beautiful. When we got here, we'd already bought a house here, and so we were moving into the new house. It was empty, of course, and our stuff was getting shipped out, so it didn't get here for about a week afterwards. But I remember renting a car at the airport when we got off the plane, and as we were driving in, I just had the windows down, and I was breathing the air, and I was so happy. I thought, this is awesome. And second part, the not so easy part, I had started this company, BWEST. When I was in Toronto, I developed the logo and whatnot. But when I got here, I quickly found out that it wasn't going to be as easy as I thought. I thought, well, coming from the big city, I worked at a big ad agency, it should be no problem. And as many people know who have started a business here or who are not from here, it's not so easy to get started. You kind of got to build a network and get things going first.
And we were just talking before we started about how small Victoria is and how really it's one degree of separation here. Do you find, how long did it take you to build up your network?
Well, about 3 months into it, I realized, okay, this is not going to be as easy as I thought. And I was pitching Abe Books, which is a local online book retailer, a success story unto itself, on my consulting services. And they said, well, we don't want to hire you as a consultant, but do you want to come and work for us and manage the marketing department? So I did that, the online marketing department for a while, worked there a couple of years, went to work at a small ad agency for a couple of years. And so at that point, it was 4 years in. I had a good network of people. I had some clients already, and that's when I relaunched BWEST at that point and kind of hit the ground running.
So what does BWEST mean?
Well, it doesn't have any particular meaning other than I wanted to, or we, when we moved out here, the family, wanted to be West. And so we thought, okay, I want something catchy for the name. And the logo is lowercase b and then capital West. And the lowercase b, where I worked in Toronto, was at Publicis, an ad agency, and there was an espresso shop in the lobby, and it was called B-Espresso, and it had the lowercase b, and I always liked it. It was very stylish, and so it was red, though mine's green. So I took the B and made the West, and there you go. That's the story of the logo.
No passing off in that regard because of different services?
Yeah, indeed.
So you created your network. You took about 4 years. So I got started in real estate, but I'd been here for 6 years. So I had the network, and primarily I was marketing to myself, which is how actually I ended up meeting your wife, because I was marketing to people who were married with young kids. And, it's always best to market yourself, right?
Sure, yeah.
But then I found it kind of, the word of mouth marketing here is very powerful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, now BWEST has been in business a little over 10 years, and almost all of our new business comes from referrals. So, yeah, it's a small place. I mean, even within our friends, as we were talking, it's very small degree of separation. You bump into people. I was going up Mount Finlayson yesterday, bumping into people we knew. But then also business-wise, you need to do what you say you're going to do, and sometimes more, and do good work because word gets around. And so, yeah, a lot of our business comes through referrals. And, it's kind of the way it should be, and it's a nice way to do it because then it's a warm lead and people already have a certain degree of trust. So it's easier to establish that relationship and get started with them.
Who is your ideal client?
Ideal clients are people that know what they want to do, clients that have a good sense for who they are, their business. We a lot of small businesses. We don't do enterprise stuff. The largest website we did, it was actually a pretty big one. It's probably about 8,000 pages in a couple of languages, but mostly we do websites for smaller businesses, and then we do a lot of search engine optimization, email marketing, social media, content marketing, content creation, and online advertising. Maybe half of our clients are in Victoria, The other half are around the world. We've got clients in Vancouver, Toronto, South Carolina, Fiji, Los Angeles, all over the world.
Retail?
Some retail, there's a few. There's a couple here in Victoria that are retail. And another kind of a sweet spot, but e-commerce. So if you're selling online, then it just makes our job a bit easier because we're all about, our logo, our tagline is big ideas, measurable results. So we're all about the analytics and measuring results. So if you're selling online, obviously it's easy to measure whether you're successful or not. We'll know right away if we are moving the needle by increasing leads, increasing conversion, and ultimately increasing sales.
So what are popular areas right now for people purchasing online? Like, are you finding there's certain types of businesses that are doing better than others?
The businesses that have a strategy, first of all, there's two things that I always talk about when we work with clients or when I do a lot of workshops and when we're coaching. I say, you need a strategy, and then you need the people to manage and implement the strategy. And it's amazing how many businesses still don't really have a strategy. So that's often where we'll start. We'll do an audit and we'll do a strategy, and then we'll make sure all the metrics are in place so that whatever we do, we can actually measure whether it's successful or not. We don't want to spend a bunch of money and then have someone say, well, I think it's working. It feels like it's working. No, we want to measure the results and make sure. Even if you're not selling online, if it's retail, you want to have more people in the store, or you want to see a higher average order value, or just the revenue number is higher at the end of the month. But we want to measure absolutely everything that we do.
That's awesome, because I find, quite honestly, people start businesses without any sort of business plan. I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, as you know, over the years, and I find they just kind of think that their passion's going to take them the whole way, and there's no real foundation in which to build their business or even know if they've improved year over year.
You're absolutely right, yeah. Passion is great. You have to have passion, but passion doesn't pay the bills. Clients and anyone who's running a business, they're generally great at whatever they do. You're a great realtor. A guy with a roofing company, he's a great roofer. Dentist is a great dentist, but they're not necessarily great at running a business. So there's all those other things you need to do, marketing not the least of which, marketing and advertising, that you need to bring the right people in, and you need to have the metrics in place and have a plan for what you're going to do. Your business, a roofer, there's a lot of businesses where you need to constantly generate leads. You have to have awareness, educate them, but you got to bring people through the door or to the website or whatever it may be. And so you need a plan to do that, and you need the metrics so that you can measure whatever you're doing, whether it's email, social media, online advertising, whatever it is. You want to know, A, is it bringing people in, and B, is it actually generating revenue or creating new clients?
So you do the website. Do you also offer coaching?
We do a certain amount of coaching. Not like business coaching per se, but we will mentor people internally within the business. So once we finish up implementing a plan, let's say, we'll make sure that they know what they need to do to manage it and continue on for the next 12 months or whatever. So depending on the size of the business, sometimes they'll have a person internally that can manage the email marketing or the social media, and so we'll show them how to do that. They don't often have someone with enough sophistication to do the online advertising, so we'll often continue doing that for the client, and they'll do some of the other items. Yeah.
How important is online advertising to small businesses now?
I think it's super important. For almost any business, there's a way to utilize online advertising, and it's so cost-effective. Done correctly, it's super cost-effective. You've got search advertising where somebody is kind of overtly looking for a service, and so they're doing searches, so it's important to show up there because probably your competitors are. And then there's other little more passive advertising like a Facebook or Instagram or something where they're not necessarily looking for a service, but if you're targeting them correctly and you're using certain other tactics and techniques that we employ, then you can actually get in front of them with a compelling message and get them to click and come to your site, even when that wasn't the plan when they went to Facebook.
For people who are looking at running a business, if they're running a brick and mortar business, how much do you think of their business should be coming from online leads?
Well, brick and mortar doesn't really matter. It matters kind of what their industry is. So after I leave here, I'm going to meet with a new prospect that hopefully becomes a client. And they're in a really interesting area. They have a new innovative technology, but let's call it the wellness industry or fitness. So they have a very certain demographic that they know they want to hit, which is good. They're in their sales processes that they have to educate a little bit and then generate a lead. So they need to give them a reason to come into book an appointment first of all and come in for a free consultation. So for any business like that, online advertising is super important, and it's not that hard to do either, because the targeting sophistication of all of the media that we have now is so minute. So, for example, in Victoria, you can obviously target people geographically that are in Victoria, but then by affinity, by age, by education, by other pages they like, by other things they've purchased, etc. The targeting capability is incredible. So it makes it more cost effective, but then it also makes it more qualified when you're generating that lead and bringing the person in.
Okay. So besides BWEST, you offer the Soho. What is Soho?
Soho Summit is a conference for small business owners. The Soho stands for small office, home office, but it's mostly for small businesses, kind of solopreneur up to about 25 employees. And like I was saying earlier, as a business owner, when you're running the business, you have to be great at what you do, but there's at least 15 or 20 or 30 other things that are really critical to the business that you're probably not good at, or you absolutely hate, and we all have those things, or you just don't know how to do. So, do you figure out how to do it yourself, or do you hire somebody to do that, or do you outsource it? And so Soho helps you with all those things, whether it's figuring out how to do it yourself or finding the right people to bring in. And so we have all of those professionals at Soho that offer one-on-one coaching. So you can actually sit with a lawyer, an accountant, or whatever for 20 minutes, get a session with them, ask them all sorts of questions, get good advice, but then figure out, okay, do I want to work with that accountant? Is that the right person for my business? And then follow up. So, it's once a year, and we get about 200 business owners from Victoria out, and they learn lots, they meet people, and we get great feedback from partnerships that have been made, clients that have been acquired, and so on. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so how do people get in touch with you?
BWEST.ca is the website, so BWEST.ca. Of course, we're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere else, but just go to the website, or you can call me. Yeah, actually, 250-508-7761. And it's interesting because I always answer the phone, and I've had clients that say, wow, this is great, you answered the phone. And I talk to them, and it's amazing, I guess, how many people don't answer the phone. And
I get told that too.
Yeah, isn't it great? All you have to do is answer the phone, you can get business.
Okay, so if you want more information about BWEST, contact Chris. If you want more information about the Crystal View area, contact me. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun. Take care, have a great day, and welcome to the neighborhood. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the neighborhood. We hope you have had some insight into West Coast living. If you know of someone or someplace that should be highlighted in our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Please go to VancouverIslandTime.com and click on our Connect button. See you next week on Vancouver Island Time with Jane Johnston.